Welcome back to Just the News No Noise. There have been some major wins for the pro-life movement in the last few years, but even so, it is not time to stop fighting because the left is continuing to use every legal path necessary to expand access to abortion every single day. So joining us now to discuss how the right can counter that is the president of an incredible organization, Heartbeat International, Jor-El Godsey. Jor-El, great to see you.
Hey, Amanda, thanks for the opportunity to talk about this.
I want to ask you first, before we get into some of these stories about Planned Parenthood and these attorneys general suing, with President Trump in the executive and a lot of these court cases moving in the direction of life, does it feel like there's momentum on the pro-life side of things, or does it feel like you're really just kind of getting a very brief reprieve before things go crazy again?
Well, that's always our concern. We hope that such a win, such a life champions would always be in the White House. Unfortunately, we've had the exact opposite for the last several years, and we are looking forward to what can happen otherwise. But right now, we're dealing with some very powerful states that are leveraging it feels like that they're leveraging what power they can, even though even because they've lost the power in the White House, that they're almost taking up the banner for a big abortion and using their immense power in their states to kind of do a big abortion's bidding.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, one of the most influential organizations that's a part of the big abortion lobby is Planned Parenthood. So now we've got this lawsuit by 22 attorneys general, California, and a bunch of other liberal states. And they say that Planned Parenthood is being targeted by President Trump. Now, this is an organization that's still in the black. They are still making revenue. It's not like they are sinking as far as their finances. What do you anticipate to happen with this lawsuit?
Well, it's obvious that Planned Parenthood is seeking to kind of hang on to the taxpayer dollars they've been getting. You know, they've been funded to the tune of $750 million for the last several years. And it somehow seems like they're willing and able to take up the legal cause so that they can preserve their funds, their own profits. You said it yourself that they're in the black, not just in the black. They've been as a nonprofit, they've been turning profits of $300 million or more the last several years. So they clearly don't need the taxpayer money, but they certainly are willing to do anything to get it.
Help me understand, because if they don't get the tax dollars, they're still going to get private money. They can still get a huge chunk from private funding because, as they say themselves, these are vital services. So if so many people are so concerned about the vital services that Planned Parenthood provides, why do they even need taxpayer dollars?
That's a great question, Amanda. We were just hearing their marketing spin just a few years ago about abortion only being 3% of their livelihood is what they were touting, just 3%. And yet they're now, because of Dobbs, they're going back to Dobbs, not just because of the latest effect by the White House, but they're really going back to Dobbs and saying this has been serious and it's really undercut their ability to sustain themselves. But like, it all seems like smoke and mirrors. Frankly, I think that they're almost happy moving their brick and mortar into online, where there's less regulation, there's less overhead, they can make more profit that way. So that's my observation of really what they're doing behind the scenes, even as they clamor for more taxpayer funding.
Yeah, and I want to ask you about the controversy surrounding mifepristone, the abortion drug, because this is something, this is within a universe, an abortion universe, where these folks claim to care about the mothers. They claim to care about their health, their well-being. At the same time, this drug sends thousands of women to the ER, doesn't it?
It does. We saw this actually in a release earlier in March, that in real world statistics, out of a study of about 850,000 women, that the adverse events that occurred was more than 11%. And this is really 22 times higher than what the FDA had been reporting were adverse events from mifepristone taken as part of the abortion pill regime. This is really something that we need to take much more closer attention to, that this pill is hurting women at a rate that was far underreported, less understood, and even covered up this information that we saw at the FDA. We are grateful for the new administration's control of the FDA, for the fact that they've promised to look into this more closely, that we hope that they'll stick with that promise and look into it very carefully, because we know now that tens of thousands, even maybe hundreds of thousands of women are having adverse events from this pill in particular.
Yeah. Jor-El, I remember after the Dobbs decision, there was a lot of discussion surrounding the time where there should be a cutoff or the time that there is a cutoff in the developing world. And at that time, the United States had by far the most liberal timetable as far as abortion being legal. And I remember thinking to myself, okay, well, if even places like the UK, which have gone totally wackadoodle left in a lot of different areas, even if countries like the UK and France and other European nations, if they have a shorter time span, if in those countries they only allow it up to 4 weeks or 6 weeks or whatever the case may be, I remember thinking at the time, maybe people in this country will move more in that direction. Do you get the sense that we are moving more in that direction, that even those on the left who support choice, that they are becoming a little bit more conservative in the timetable, or have they just gone even further left?
Well, the abortion industry continues to be out in that area of wackadoodle. Like they're really the ones pushing the narrative that we've been living under in Roe. Like under Roe, we were part of, I think, 5 or 7 nations, including North Korea and some other really draconian administrations that allowed abortion to happen under any circumstance for any reason up until birth. And that was really the position under Roe as it manifests over those many decades. So the fact that we're out from underneath that is true. And I remember talking to some of my European friends to say, hey, post-Roe, post-Dobbs, we are more like Europe now in that we're a patchwork of states. They're, of course, patchwork of countries. We're now a patchwork of states where we have different leadership that's moving in different directions. And as you well know, we've now kind of like moving into a polarization where we have abortion states and we have life states. We have those that have made moves to protect life in their area and watch out for women, take care of women who are really being oppressed and even coerced into an abortion decision they don't really want. And we have abortion states that are doing everything they can to maximize abortion, including pay for it, pay for tourism, pay for people to come to their states. Illinois is one of these. California is another. We really have a divided United States. But the good part about that is we are seeing that move that you hinted at, that more and more people are at least understanding the issue and moving into more common sense ground of saying, you know what, maybe abortion on demand up until birth isn't our best position.
Yeah. Jor-El Godsey, president of Heartbeat International. I meant it at the top of this segment. You guys do such incredible work, and we are so appreciative of what you are doing for the life movement. Thanks so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you, Amanda.
Absolutely. All right, everybody, coming up next, Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib spoke at an event for Palestine over the weekend and claimed that America is complicit in a genocide in Gaza, among many other things. So we're going to talk about that on the other side.